I felt very disappointed by last week's sermon, the ending. I thought it was very weak. And so instead of peeking into God's wardrobe, which is fun, it's really fun, we'll do it another time, I decided that I'm going to stay in the book of Ruth. And I thought that perhaps Naomi could tell her story. She has a lot to say for herself, and I thought it would strengthen the ending from last week, I hope. We haven't seen Naomi before, so not quite sure how she's going to be. Now tell me, do you speak to God all the time like I do? I natter away, natter, 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 and sometimes he listens. And sometimes I think he just turns off. I'm not quite sure about that. But I think I started to talk to God most seriously when I was a young woman, and I knew that my parents were starting to look for a husband for me. And I thought, well, this is a very godless time we live in. People are doing all their own things. And I don't want to marry a man who doesn't have a relationship with our God. And so I started to pray, Lord, would you make sure that my parents find a godly man for me, please? This you can do, right? This you can do. And so there it went. And he heard me. My parents chose for me a lovely man, a godly man, Elimelech. I called him Elmi. God blessed us, and he continued to bless us. We prayed for children. He gave us 2 sons. Oh, thank you, Lord. I am now feeling very secure. I have a husband to look after me. And then later, when I perhaps am a widow, I will have 2 grown sons. Life was very good. Thank you, Lord. I was very grateful. But then things started to change. It seemed to me that God withdrew his blessing from Bethlehem. A land that was so fertile became barren. There were no harvests, and there was no food. There was a famine in the land. And one morning, Elmi came to me and he said, Naomi, it is time for us to move. You must start to gather things together, and we will leave this place. We will go someplace where there is food, and that there is an easier life, I think. We will be safer. And so I prayed, Lord, this I do not want, but if this is your will, it will be good. But please, God, find us a place that is a godly land where you are worshipped. This I know will please you. But where did he take us? To the most ungodly place on earth, I think. He took us to Moab. Now, did you know that God's own word said that we were not to associate with these Moabites? We were to have nothing to do with them for 10 generations at least. And that's where Elmi took us, to this terrible, desolate land. Well, Lord, I'm not sure what is in your mind, but perhaps you will bless us even more here. But he did not. I had a sense, you see, that Elmi didn't really settle down. He just was not happy. I think he realized, I believe, that he had made a terrible mistake in his choice of places to go. He should not have abandoned our land or even our God. And he faded, and soon he was gone. He died. My heart was broken because he was a very good man, but he left us. Yes, he left us, but there were my 2 sons. And they were of an age almost where they needed to find wives. And so I prayed again, Lord, I pray that you would bring 2 good Jewish girls into the lives of my boys. This you can do. And do you know what he did? He brought 2 heathen women for them to marry. 2 pagans, 2 Moabites. I could not believe it. You are the universe. You are the creator of the universe, and you couldn't find 2 Jewish women? I do not believe, and I do not understand. But time went by, and I said, thank you. They are not bad girls. In fact, I think I love them. They are very good. So perhaps you knew what you was doing. Thank you, Lord. And so the time went on. But do you know what? It wasn't very long before my 2 boys got sick themselves. They were just like their father. They died and left us childless. And so again I look to my Lord and I say, could you not wait until my boys had been fathers before you took them? Now there are 3 widows, 3 childless widows. What are we to do? You see, it was a terrible thing to be a widow in those days. We were close to being on the streets. There was no way for us to find provision for ourselves. And so I did not know quite what we would do. But, Lord, you let us know that your hand was back on Bethlehem and that there were good food again. So I decided that we would return to Bethlehem. And I said to my girls, pack up, we are going home. But as we started out, I realized this was not their home. This would not be good for them. They would be foreigners, strangers in a strange land. And so I turned and I said, you must go home. Go home to your parents. They will find you husbands and you will feel more secure and safe. And so, Oprah, she said to me, no. Yes, I go. And so off she went. I think she was relieved. But Ruth, oh my Ruthie, she clung to me. And she said, no, I will not leave you. I will never go. Your people, they will be my people. Your land will be my land. And your God will be my God. Well, for once I was speechless. I had nothing to say. And so I just hugged her and off we went. And when we arrived, the whole town, it came out to greet us. Well, kind of greet us. They looked at me and they said, Naomi, is this really you? Had I changed so much? Was my sorrow and pain written all over me? I don't know. But anyway, we found ourselves a little corner and we settled in. And my Ruthie, she came to me and she said, we must find food. I understand that you have a law that allows me to go into a field and to take food from around the edges. This I will do. And so I prayed a blessing on her. And I said, Lord, look after her more than you have looked after me. She's good. Be kind. Be with her. And so I left her to God's hand. And God heard my prayer this time. He did not turn off. He sent her to a field where there was plenty of food and a very kind man in it, but I waited and I did not know this right away. I did a little bit of sweeping and a little bit of praying and a little bit of work and a little bit of walk and a little bit of sweeping and a little bit of praying, and finally she came home. And she said, Mama, this man was so good. He gave us so much, all this food he has provided for us, and it was so much she could hardly carry it. And so she carried on chattering away, and she said, oh, by the way, his name is Boaz. Oh, Lord, you are good. You do hear. Oh, thank you, Lord, thank you so much. Boaz, Ruthie, do you know this is a kinsman of ours? This is a close relation. This is good. You work for him. He'll keep you safe. And so all the time she goes off, I think a plan. I work things out. I try to figure it out. I help God. Do you help God? Could you give it? Yes, I know. Yes. He needs a little bit of help sometimes. Yes. And sometimes he even listens. And so we planned. And one day the harvest was over and the threshing was about to take place. I said to Ruthie, now, Ruthie, as it is time for you to take off your widow's weeds, dress up, look your very, 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 very best. And this is what you are to do. You are to go down in the evening and watch Boaz as he works. And watch him. Don't go and interrupt his meal or his drinking. Wait until he is satisfied and comfortable. And then go, wait and watch where he lies down. And then go and lie at his feet. No hanky-panky, just lie at his feet. He'll know what you mean. And so I waited. I didn't sleep a wink. I couldn't. She was gone all night, you see. But I somehow knew that God was doing the work here, that he was listening and working. And then Ruthie came home and she said, well, Boaz has agreed to marry me, but there is a problem. A rather large problem, I'm afraid. There is a kinsman who is closer. Oh, my goodness gracious me. It isn't that I didn't know, but I tried to ignore. God did not. God wanted everything right. And so she said, Boaz is going to meet with this man tomorrow, and they will work it out. And I said, don't you worry. I know God's in charge. God will work it out. Boaz is a good man. He is an honorable man. This will work out. Oh, please, God, make it work out. Please, please, please make it work out, Lord. And you know what? They were married. God worked it out. And God did even more. God provided for them a son, a lovely son. And then she came to me and she said, you must look after our boy. And she placed this boy, this lovely child, in my arms. Now, do not think, God, that this replaces my sons. The sorrow is still there, the pain. That heart will always be broken. But this isn't bad. This is all right. But this I know now. You understand my sorrow. You too have lost a son, and so your heart breaks with mine. But I thank you. I thank you for your name is wondrous, and you listen. And more importantly, Lord, even when we make our mistakes, and we made plenty, I'm afraid, you somehow use them. How could I ever have thought to go to that ungodly land that there would be a Ruthie, and there would be a child? And so I thank you, and I thank you. Amen. Let's pray. Lord, you deal with real people in your word, and you just know their sorrows as you know our sorrows. You know our pains, and sometimes, Lord, it feels as if you haven't heard us. And yet you have. Your plan is always so much bigger than ours. Our sorrows, our trials, our tragedies, you can use, Lord. Use them to your glory. Your name is wondrous, and help us to have your praise on our lips, that you will always be sovereign and sufficient in our lives. Amen.